talk
Bobby.
about profitability on the service side. How does Litify help on the service side?
For sure. First off, sorry, Bobby. It's been good. Um, so yeah, couple of points in there, as you mentioned. Does the whole firm work out of it? In some respects, right? We're not going to replace your email, right? We're not going to replace your calendar. We do have the ability to sync with your calendar, so you can see it in both places. I tell people all the time, I'm going to be the last person that goes to an attorney and tells them not to use Outlook for calendaring, right? You can use Outlook for calendaring. It'll show up in Litify. If you prefer to use Litify, it'll show up in Outlook. It's a bi-directional sync. We'll make the information available to you, but we're not going to rip the tool away that you use. Same with email. You could send an email from Litify just like you could send it from Outlook. And if you send it in either place, you'll see it in either place. You know, we have plugins for Outlook that let you save emails to the matter, and we'll do the full automatic thread saving. So save one, all the replies will automatically get filed in. So we're not out to take the tools away, we're out to make them better. So nominally, will you work from Litify? Yeah, some more, some less, but you're going to work there because that's going to be the home for all your information. When it comes to time tracking, we're talking about, I love the fact that you keyed on utilization because, we're hearing it more, but still, I think it's an underused stat when firms are looking at what they're actually doing. When we're looking at time tracking inside the software, so yeah, your old-fashioned manual timekeeping is still there. Whether you want to run a timer or just manually input your time, it's still there. Task and activity codes, full narrative support, it's all inside there. I would say we added two things to it, which are maybe not unique, but I think we execute on them really, really well. One is automated timekeeping. Not in the sense that it's tracking your clicks into your computer. There are tools out there that do that, some better, some worse. We prefer to look at it based on the actions you're taking. Can we insert a time entry based on them? So if you sent an email, can we automatically bill a point one? Because that's what you're going to bill for it, right? If you generated a document with our software, can we bill a point one for you? Because again, that's what you're going to bill for when you create a new letter for someone, right? So are there automated actions that are there actions actually that you can take that we can automatically bill your time and do it properly so that your task and activity codes are clean, your narrative is not going to get flagged for non-payment, that it's going to go in clean, so when you hit a pre-bill at the end of the month, you simply don't have to worry about those time entries. That's one area where we're going to add a ton of automation and capture. The other is going to be around the concept of conforming to the guidelines that you've been given as a firm. So we added in a feature where you can actually build those guidelines into the software. So when you want to talk about billing for time, you're no longer, again, having to clean it up at the point of entry. We're going to check against the guidelines and make sure that your work is correct at the point of entry. So now it's going in right. So now when you want to look at utilization, that the time is in there correctly. Now you have to understand, well, how does that look as a function of the person's overall performance, right? That's where the analytics, the dashboards that we can run are going to be super helpful. We'll put them up on the attorney's homepage so that they actually can track for themselves where they are, right? Because it's so much easier to understand what you're doing when the information is available to you. When you don't have to think about what you did and it's available for you, you can see it. For good, you're keeping your hours up to date. For bad, you've fallen behind, but better that you know about it yourself before you get the knock on the door that says, hey, Bobby, not working out so well, right? So we'll put the utilization in front of the attorneys front and center all the time. We'll also run those dashboards at that level for the managers, the executives to be able to look at it as a department, as a practice area to say, okay, look, we know what we want to be billing. Where are we strong? Where are we weak? Is it by practice area? Is it by attorney? Where can we actually see those hours coming in? Where are we leaving them on the table?
Fantastic. So that, I think that's one of the things that's not talked about enough is utilization. And with the advent of a lot of technologies to enhance human capability, it's going to be drilled down even further and further, which leads me to my next topic. And being that you are the head of innovation here, and keying in on some of these, AI, everybody's talking about AI, and there has been AI components that have logic-based AI, and I may be incorrectly using these, where it's these actions trigger based upon this, and then there's generative AI, things like ChatGPT. What kind of things what kind of AI components are in Litify to enhance human capability, And then what are maybe some of those on the future that you guys are maybe experimenting with and trying to implement or thinking about implementing in the future?
Yeah. And I like that you broke it down into those two categories, right? Because AI is such a buzzword today. And then everybody just, when they hear AI, they automatically assume ChatGPT. And not that it's a bad thing. I think it's great, and I play around with it a ton, just to sort of push the limits and see what we can do with it. And we have a group here at Litify that is focused solely on some next gen AI capabilities and what they can do with it. Taking a look at things like, um, for example, there are chat bots out there, right? There's a bunch of them. There's Intaker, there's Gideon, there's a bunch of them. Apex Chat has one. You've used them in every industry if you've tried to chat with someone, some better, some worse, but it's mostly taking you along a script, right? There's pre-canned answers. You kind of got to choose one. It doesn't fit so well in legal, right? Because it's very rarely a straight line to intake. Um, but it used to be you'd have to hire someone and train them. Now, some of our tools are really easy, right? We can take some firms' training. We've seen stats where we've taken some firms' intake training from 4 weeks down to one, right? Where we can cut that by 75% because we can really build in those pathing, those tree branching questionnaires into the systems that you have to have less, we'll call it less skill. And it's a little pejorative unintentionally, but we'll call it a little less skill at that front to walk them through. But now think about the scenario: you could take a smart piece of software and you can tell it, ChatGPT, I need you to be a empathetic intake agent at a law firm. And I need you to capture the following subset of information. It's going to behave like a person. It's going to ask questions. It's going to give you responses. And we've been training some of these to really put that at the forefront. Is it going to replace people? I firmly believe no, is the truth. Not in any time frame that I can see, at least. But it is going to, I think, change the way that after hours calls are taken, that online chats are taken. I think we can do a tremendous amount of work to make that not just better for the law firms, because that's easy, but better for the clients, right? When you come to a website, no one likes going through chat because you don't feel like someone's helping you. But if you can actually go through it, even though you know it's a computer on the other end, right? Let's be clear. I don't think anybody is going to mistake it for a person, nor should they. But if it's asking you the questions in the right way, if it's trying to understand and not badgering you just because the script says to keep asking this one, it makes it a better process. So we have a group that's looking at things like that, looking at things like documents, right? How can we ingest the contents of a document and give you back relevant points on it, whether it's a summary of it on a court filing, pulling out specific dates. If it's medical records, can we pull out certain things from there? Again, making sure that we're careful on HIPAA and PII, so scrubbing those documents, but still pulling out relevant information that ordinarily you would maybe send offshore or to a nursing group to be able to do that. Can we do that with software? You'd be shocked. These things are really, really good at finding that information. So we have a group that's looking at those next gen things, right? In terms of what we can release in the near future to augment, as you said, the work that people are doing. We then have the normal AI tools. I don't know the right word for that now. But the logic-based ones, like you said, I think is a good one. There's a big toolkit out there. Salesforce has a great toolkit that we dip into. Their Einstein suite of tools. So whether it's things like next best action, which is, hey, you've input the following data, here's what you should do next, and giving it to you in a human readable, like literally, here is your next best action to take. We use that in our routing tools, for example. So for our insurance defense firms, if they're going to start, or our insurance companies, I should say, if they're going to route claims to outside counsel, how do they know which firm to route it to? So we can tell them, hey, based on the data, here's where you should route it to, or here's the next best action to take in a litigation. There's a bunch of tools that we dip into on the logic side to be able to afford that ability to our firms to just better, I would say, make better decisions faster.